In this video, I'm revealing our complete cold email system that generated over 10,000 leads for us and our clients, including my entire workflow using Clay.com and Smartlead. Whether you're a B2B founder, sales leader, or C-level executive and want a step-by-step guide to get more clients using cold email, this video is for you. Be sure to stick until the end because I'll be revealing to you guys more bonus materials that you'll definitely find helpful. Now guys, jumping into our quick workflow that I have built out, everything really starts with Clay.com, and the reason we use Clay.com is because essentially it's a data aggregator, meaning that you can pull in data from multiple different places and essentially enrich your data right in Clay, and then essentially send it off to your email sequencing tools, LinkedIn sequencing tools, as well as your CRM if you want to do that. But today we'll be just focusing on the cold email side of things. So as you'll see from this chart, you can actually pull in leads from multiple different places. You got Apollo.com, obviously, to pull in leads from that natively connects to Clay. You have Ocean.io, which you can actually find lookalikes of your best customers. You have LinkedIn Sales Navigator. You have Google Maps to find local businesses at. So now you're pulling in leads, right? Once you have the leads pulled in, then you can actually start enriching all that info, right? You can actually find their emails and phone numbers right in Clay. So for example, you can use Lead IQ, you can use Lead Magic, Prospeo to actually ensure you have high coverage and actually get the emails that you're looking for. You can find the respective tech stacks of different companies using BuildWith and Predict Leads that natively connect to Clay. You can either use your own API credits or Clay's native Clay credits that you can use to essentially find this info. You can do scraping right out of Clay. So you can use Phantom Buster and Appify to scrape LinkedIn, to scrape different websites, and then pull all that data into Clay. You can actually do a lot of the research, right? Using Clay Agent and ChatGPT to essentially look at different websites, find the info you're looking for, but also clean up lists. That's a big thing. You can also use intent triggers right out of Clay. So for example, if you have our B2B installed, anyone that visits your website will automatically go into a Clay table that you can enrich, find more information about, and then shoot off to your email sequencing tools, as well as Triggerify, where if you want to track LinkedIn engagement, you can use Triggerify to do that. But then as well as more top of the funnel things such as Google ads, Facebook ads, you can pull in that type of info into Clay and then enrich that and then do your outbound. So this is what we call kind of inbound led outbound, where leads are coming in, you're enriching it in Clay, and then you're sending it off. But also you can just start with a brand new list right out of Clay to do your outbound. Super easy to do. But sort of the workflow that we take our customers through, and we do this ourselves, is sort of this framework. So essentially week one, we find the ICP, right? Who's the ideal customer profile of each specific company. We set up the cold email outbound systems using Smartlead. And that's what we'll be focusing on today. Obviously, there's Hey Reach for LinkedIn outreach as well. But today, we'll just be focusing on the cold email side of things. But once we set up this cold email infrastructure, ideally we want to be able to set 3 inboxes per domain. So 3 either Outlook or Gmail inboxes per domain, sending max 15 emails per day per inbox. And I'll show you guys what that looks like in Smartlead in a little bit, but just so you guys understand the flow. The emails start warming up for 2 weeks just to make sure whenever you are sending in full capacity, your emails are not going to spam. You want to be able to warm that up natively through Smartlead. And then throughout that entire process, in week 2, we're actually just building the lead lists, using AI to personalize the emails, verifying all the email addresses. And then once that 2 weeks is up, then we're actually in full capacity. We're sending off the emails. And then once the leads start coming in, they start replying, they show positive intent. We start putting that into your CRM, the leads funnel in there, as well as if you want specific notifications to pop up in your Slack, we essentially do that integration as well. But wanted to jump into Clay real quick just to show you guys what that looks like. So you have find people search, where you can find individuals within the companies. You can search for job titles, manager, different attributes within the job, where they're located. This is just to find specific people. We can also find companies, right? So you're pulling in the data straight from Clay's data provider, which is Clay itself. But also if you just want to look at for example, all the different data providers that are native to Clay, you guys will see just in a sec what that looks like. So if I click a workbook and I go to more sources, you guys will see there's like a bunch of different like data providers they can pull in data from. So for example, like I was saying earlier, it was a Appify actor. You can pull in RSS feeds. You can even import from your CSV file, pull in like LinkedIn engagements, find engagement from Reddit, right? Instagram, Triggerify, like I was saying earlier, Apollo, as I mentioned. So all these different data providers come into Clay. And just to kind of show you guys like what that would look like, for example, like if you're doing like Google Maps, you know, we can find the like local businesses using Google Maps, check out the radius that we want, and it will essentially like pull in like different businesses that are in that specific range. Just an example, like, you know, you can look up like museums, art galleries, whatever the case may be. I have more videos on my channel how I did this. I'll be putting this in the description for you guys, but check it out. It's pretty cool. So like you guys have an idea of kind of like how Clay works. But just to show you guys like a quick Clay table, just so I can kind of talk about like the process from Clay table into a Smartlead. Let me just show that just in a sec. Okay, cool guys. So this is like a quick table that I made. I think I made this exact table in one of my other videos that you guys can check out on my channel. It's my most recent video, I believe. But essentially, like I pulled in a list from Apollo, and I scraped Apollo's leads using exportlist.io. Don't want to get into like the nitty gritty of it, but essentially I scraped that list. It gave me a bunch of names that I can essentially like enrich and find more information about. So I had like, you know, full names, I had a first name and last name, and I had like a LinkedIn profile, as well as their organization name. What I quickly did in Clay, you can clean up this list as I'd explained, but like, you know, I went ahead and like normalized their company name just to find more information about like, or excuse me, not find more information, but just clean up like the name of the company. For example, if there's like, you know, Inc. or LLC, we can get rid of that pretty easily. Once we have a clean list of company names, then I went ahead and actually just wanted to find out if they're using HubSpot or not as their primary CRM. What I quickly did was I built a billwith.com URL that essentially prompts Clay Agent to go to every single website that BillWith has, essentially, and look up to see if there's a mention of HubSpot in there at any point. This is, again, I did this entire workflow in my previous video, but if you guys want to just quickly see, like essentially just looked at every single BillWith page, and anytime it said HubSpot, it came back with yes, as they are using HubSpot. And then what I went ahead and did was I used ChatGPT's Nano to actually look at every single website and essentially determine what their ICP is, who they sell to, and what industry. For example, like, you know, this company right here, we can see like they sell to HR managers and they sell in the HR tech space. So if you click into their like domain, we can see like, you know, that's the case just because from their website, we can see like they are selling to HR people, says it right there, HR ops. So that's the persona they're selling to. And essentially the prompt that we have here is going and like finding this information out. So pretty cool. Like the agent is actually doing this, Clay's agent. You guys can pause the video and check it out. But essentially I found all this information and then I went ahead and just cleaned up that list a little bit more just to like make it a little bit more simple to see. Clean up the clean up the ICPs, clean up their industries, and just made it a little bit like neater. And then I went ahead and found their emails, right? Using a quick waterfall enrichment within Clay. Essentially, I use Lead Magic only, but if you wanted to use, for example, like more data providers, kind of like I was saying earlier, to increase your coverage, you can certainly do so using like Prospeo, Find Email, and you guys will notice like you can either use like your own API key, which I did use in this case for Lead Magic, but if you want to use Clay credits, you can certainly do so as well, which comes with Clay's plans, but it's a lot cheaper if you just use your own API credits. So that's what I did. Once I have this list, what I can do now is like do a quick export and then put this into Smartlead. Or if you want to just natively connect to Smartlead via Clay, you can certainly do so. I just prefer to download it as a CSV file. It's a little bit more manual work on my end, but I just prefer it that way. So if you can just download this quickly, and then I'll jump into Smartlead just to show you guys what that looks like. So guys, I just downloaded the CSV file, and one thing you'll notice within Smartlead, just to give you guys a quick rundown of the platform, essentially with Smartlead, you can actually create a bunch of different domains, set up a bunch of different domains. as well as inboxes that are connected to it, like I was mentioning earlier. And the reason you do this, you don't want to be sending from your primary Gmail or Outlook account, because if at any point you're sending cold emails out and someone marks you as spam, or they just flag you at any point, you're gonna hurt the reputation of your primary Gmail as well as your domain, and you don't want that, right? You don't want a bad reputation with Google. That's why you set up alternative domains and alternative inboxes that essentially redirect your main domain. So for example, my main domain is warmleads.io, but you guys will see there's like a bunch of different email addresses that I have like listed here, that if I essentially copy one of this, like prepleads.com, and I just put it into like Google, we'll see that like my main website pops up. So yeah, this is my main website. It's a redirect. So this is exactly like what I'm talking about in terms of like protecting your domain. And you have like a bunch of different inboxes that are all here, and you're sending emails out from them. And the domains you could also connect from Smartlead. So you can either like purchase domains separately, or you can actually just Smartlead's Smart Sender, so actually create your own inboxes as well as your domain. So it's just pretty simple process to do. So like right here, you guys will see, like, for example, you can connect your own email accounts or use Smart Sender. Smart Sender is essentially like you're purchasing it from different providers that are connected to Smartlead. And this is a pretty simple process. You're just purchasing the mailboxes, you're purchasing the domains, and it's a pretty smooth process in terms of getting set up. But there's like other providers out there like premium inboxes, and where you can actually they'll do it for you as well, just at a different price and different different process. But just to make that a little bit more clear for you guys, hopefully that makes sense. So once you have like the inboxes set up in Smartlead, what you actually want to do is warm it up. And what warming it up means, essentially, like you're like Smartlead is going to be sending emails on your behalf through the inboxes, and you're going to get a bunch of replies that are just essentially like fake AI replies. And what that's doing essentially is warming up your inbox and just making sure, like, since it's a brand new inbox, you're going to be sending cold emails. You don't want to be flagged. So you're just kind of like priming it up in that way. What I recommend usually is you're sending like, warm-up emails of like, anywhere from like 15 to 40 warm-up emails per day. You can set up the reply rate anywhere from like, usually it's anywhere from like 20 to like 60%, ramping it up. But I'll make a separate video just to go over this a little bit more, but just wanted to show you guys that. But jumping back into sort of like inputting our campaign in that we got from Clay. What we're going to do here is just press on create campaign. We're going to drag and drop our CSV file that we created earlier. And the first thing you guys will notice, for example, it tells you like, how do you want to import this? Just the general preferences. Usually, I just have it import even if they're on a global block list or on a unsubscribed list, just because they could have probably registered for that a while back. Doesn't really like affect my campaigns too much. But I do tend to, not have this one on where it says like whether they bounce across the entire database. I don't want to increase my bounces. That ultimately leads to bad reputation as well, regards to Google and Microsoft. So I don't want to have that. I'll just block it out, and you just press save, right? Pretty simple. And now essentially like what we're doing here is like matching different fields, right? So from our CSV. So as an example, like in our Apollo that we got, our full name, we don't want to import that. We just want to import the first name, and we just import the first name right here. So first name is going to be first name, and then all we're going to really pull in is like, their email address, which we have. This is going to be their email. The cleaned up job title is essentially going to be, so the cleaned up job title is going to be that, and then it's going to be the industry. We're going to put this as a custom field just because it's not native to Smartlead. Clean up job title, put that as custom as well. Cool, and now we're just press save and next. It's going to say that it didn't import 46 of the leads just because we didn't have the emails for them. So we press OK. And at this point, you guys will either be able to launch a verification, essentially to verify your leads and ensure it's not actually like, bad emails or catch-alls. But just for simplicity, I'm just going to press skip and proceed. And this is where you can actually create the cold email sequence out of, right? So as an example, I just have this quick template that I had pre-built, and I'll explain like what that looks like. But essentially, I can just put this in. And now, the first thing you guys will notice, there's like a hey and hi. Essentially what that is, that's a syntax. The reason you have that, it adds variation into your emails. And the reason you're adding variation is just to ensure you're not going to go to spam and the email providers see that you're actually sending like different types of emails. You're not sending the same email over and over again. So what we have here is just like saying hey or hi, and the first name, saw that the company is using HubSpot, curious to know how accurate your CRM data is. So your reps are spending time in the right areas. Clay helps you find and enrich data across 100 multiple different data providers that natively connect to our platform. Want to check out a list of an ICP in the industry along with their contact to see how we got this at scale. So pretty cool stuff. And I'll explain kind of what that would look like, but we can just put in a quick subject line, for example, like their first name, put the first name and then just put like any thoughts. And what we want to just do here quickly is like put in their company name that we pulled in, which is going to be this, and then put the job title in there. Cool, guys. So now we can just press preview and kind of see like what our final email looks like. So for example, we can just put in one of these. So it says like, hey, Emil, saw that Laurel is using HubSpot, curious to know how accurate CRM data is, so your reps are spending time in the right areas. Clay helps you find and enrich data across 100 multiple different providers that natively connect to our platform. Want to check out a list of every legal operations manager in the legal services. We should put industry in there along with their contact info to see how we get this at scale. So this is just a quick, template that we put together. So just put an industry right there. And you can actually just create multiple variants as well in this email copy. So like different types of email copies just to see like which one resonates more. Or you can actually just add more syntax. I prefer to have like different email copies in there, but from here you can actually just set up another email follow-up within that, essentially replying to that same thread. You can set it to like reply within like 1 or 2 days, whatever the case may be. But for now, let's just leave this as is and then press save next. And then this is the point where you guys can actually send from, you essentially set up the settings for this account or this campaign, I should say. So we can select the different Gmails that we have connected, and we can just press save. And as far as like the campaign schedule goes, this is like when you want to launch your campaign. So like we can have it like, just as an example, put like Los Angeles time, and you can put the campaign start date. You can actually also set up where you have an email going out every 20 minutes. You don't want to be like mass sending emails out. You want to add some like variance in there just because, again, like it just makes it more human-like, just because someone's not going to like immediately send thousands of emails at once. The providers don't want you to do that. So we can set that, just press save. And then as far as like the campaign settings go, this is where you can actually just be a little more creative. So you can actually like stop the messaging whenever a lead replies. So for example, if you're sending an email, someone replies, the automation stops automatically. You can actually set this to send the emails in plain text without HTML. This again boosts deliverability. Pretty good stuff. I usually put that on. And then as far as like the patterns go, you can actually just set this, for example, like how much you want to like, follow up versus new lead per campaign every day. Usually I just set it to 50% follow-ups, 50% new leads. I just find that as a sweet spot. And then this is where you can actually like, ESP match. So essentially like if you guys are using Outlook as a provider, you should probably just send to Outlook just because the deliverability is higher. If you have Gmail, you should probably send to Gmail. Or if you have a mix of both, you can certainly do so. In this campaign, we can see like it's 84% Gmail. So like I'm just gonna press the Gmail one here. And then the rest I just leave as is usually. And then that's pretty much it, guys. So guys, and from here, you can actually just check out the final email copy, review it, and then just start the campaign. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. As I promised earlier in the video, I have some bonus materials for you guys to check out. In my newsletter, if you guys sign up, I have my favorite email templates that you guys can essentially plug and play and hopefully find value and get more clients at scale. Let me know if you have any questions, and happy to connect and talk about this. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.